Hello everyone and welcome to day 6 of the Armageddon Championship Series and its revolutionary format. We're coming to you live from our studios in Berlin. I'm Grandmaster Gustafsson and I'm once again joined by the amazing Jovanka Houska. Jovanka, how's the action been so far?
It's a pleasure to be here, Jan. And I have to say, yesterday was a short and sweet day, but it was not without its adventure. First up, it was Maghsoodloo who just overcame Vidit, and then in the second match, Abdusattorov Day 5 began with Parham Maghsoodloo and Vidit Gujrathi battling it out against each other. And just when the position was getting tense, Vidit blundered away the first game. In the second
Our second match of the day saw the online qualifier Murali Karthikeyan facing his toughest challenge yet, Nodirbek Abdusattorov. The game was equal for most of the time, but then Murali decided to push his luck with very little time on the clock and was punished by Abdusattorov. In the second game, Karthikeyan found himself in a must-win situation, but in the end, Abdusattorov managed to swindle his opponent and win the game and the match. This is the Armageddon Championship Series. We're in the middle of the Asia and Oceania event. But this is only one of the qualifiers. We've already seen the Americas, Europe and Africa are also coming up, as well as the special Women's Week. And where is all leading to, you think?
Yeah, because each event will have 8 of the strongest players participating, and there will be 32 players in total. And these fine minds are all competing fiercely for that chance to win the Armageddon Championship title. And all events are going to be broadcast live from the World Chess Club on one of Berlin's most prestigious streets, Unter den Linden. And take a look at the lineup. 4 players have left, and there we see some big matchups. Vladimir Kramnik and Gukesh still in the upper bracket, still undefeated, and Nodirbek and Parham on their last lives. And let's have a look. Let's have to mention one of our partners, IT.com, the official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series. It's a domain registry like no other, provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
Let's have a look at the format of the tournament. It's a double elimination. You lose twice, you're out. That means whoever loses between Parham and Abdusattorov has to go home. The winner stays and faces the loser between Kramnik and Gukesh before then.
Yes.
Grand finale.
And let's take a look at today's matchups. First up is those players who are fighting for their lives, Parham Maghsoodloo and Nodirbek Abdusattorov. As Jan mentioned, loser goes home. And then we have the battle of generations between a 16-year-old Gukesh against living legend, former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. And let's dive deep into this matchup, because Parham Maghsoodloo, he did lose against Kramnik 2-0, but he did manage to inflict a massive 2-0 score against India's Vidit Gujrathi. And whereas Nodirbek was a little bit shaky yesterday, these two have actually played each other quite a few times. The score is 10-5 in Parham's favor, but it's Nodirbek who's got the higher rating. And let's have a look at the profiles. There we see Parham Maghsoodloo, 22 years old, Grandmaster at 16. He's a former junior world champion as well as a 3-time national champion. And let's hear more from Parham himself.
I'm Parham Maghsoodloo. I'm 23 years old from Iran. I play a lot of training games with many good players, and I guess it helps me a lot to just keep calm and stay concentrated on the board and on the game, and not miss anything. My strategy is just trust my instinct and try to play like freestyle chess. I prefer to play Kramnik than other players because Kramnik is world champion. Also, he was my idol from my childhood, so I really want to play against him. I think winning this title would be a lot for me.
Before making it to Kramnik, Parham will have to overcome Nodirbek Abdusattorov, one of the rising stars of the chess world. Grandmaster since he's 13. The world rapid champion 21 led Uzbekistan to the gold medal in the Chess Olympiad in 2022. And he's been winning for a long time, as you can see, by his under-8 World Youth Championship title.
And let's hear from Nodirbek in his own words.
Hi, I'm Nodirbek Abdusattorov. I'm from Uzbekistan. I would be very happy if I win this tournament because there are many strong players all around the world, and I haven't won many big tournaments in blitz, so that would be a good achievement. I would like to play against Vladimir Kramnik, and by playing against him, you just get the feeling how he's acting, how he's approaching the game. My strategy would be to control the situation and to practice it before the big tournaments like this, and to act quickly. You should believe in yourself and just play good chess.
He is certainly a confident young man, and we are less than a minute away from the start of play.
Let's get to the rules.
Definitely, the players will be playing 2 blitz games of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And if the match is tied, it's going to be Armageddon. Massive prize fund, 18,000 euros for the winner, 8,000 euros for second place. And let's have a look at the rules of Armageddon. If we get there, white will have 5 minutes, black will have 4 minutes and gets draw odds. And there we have to mention a very competent international arbiter, Tanya Karoli, who'll be watching the 2 players like hawks. And we are seconds away from the start of play. There we see Maghsoodloo with the white pieces facing off against Nodirbek Abdusattorov. Both very confident men. Both players wanting to begin this match with a bang, and we are, there you go, handshake, they are off. First move, Parham opens with a d-pawn and Nodirbek copies. What are we going to see? Queen's Gambit accepted, London
does
system.
like the Queen's Gambit accepted, but it's an intriguing choice by Abdusattorov, who normally prefers d4, knight f6. What's Parham gonna do? Pawn to c4 is the classical move here, but he might bring the bishop out. Yes. Thinking about it.
He's thinking about it. Yesterday he brought the bishop out against Vidit, and now he's keeping us all guessing, you know, opening, fianchetting the light squared bishop. And looking at the heart rates, well, you can see that Parham is on 127, whereas Nodirbek 88. And just to give everyone some context, anything over 100 means that the players are stressed. 128, not exactly healthy. And, well, Nodirbek developing the light square bishop and Parham simply castling. So there we see the triangle. I saw this described recently as the love triangle.
Really?
Yes, C65. Yeah, and of course, there we see Parham play the most principled move, C2, C4, challenging this beautiful pawn structure that black has.
Yes, also theory, but it's a somewhat risky choice from Abdusattorov. He could concede some space on the queen side if white were to put the queen on b3, but Parham decides to just develop the bishop by playing pawn to b3, and now black is very, very solid. You can see Abdusattorov's heart rate is dropping now that he saw b3. He's very, very calm. Yeah,
and my experience in this type of position is that white has to do something right now, because black has gotten the light squared bishop out for free, and there you see Nodirbek actually making a square for that bishop to hide, and here it just seems like black is very comfortable. Look at that. Abdusattorov simply taking space on the queen side. So far, this is model stuff. How is Parham going to challenge Black's setup? Is he going to attack the bishop? Is he perhaps going to move the rook to the e1 square, drop back and prepare the e3, e4 break?
Yeah,
We'll
the
find
moment
out.
has passed for Parham to fight for an opening advantage. He's not an opening specialist, he's just trying to get a game here. But of course, that's a risky strategy against Abdusattorov. If you don't put this kid under any pressure, he will be very, very comfortable. You can see he's playing very quickly. He's not stressed whatsoever. He's up a minute on the clock, even though White really hasn't done anything special yet, so I don't like how Parham approached this.
No, I don't like it either, and I was actually taught this is the recipe for neutralizing White's position. You exchange a set of minor pieces, and this simply allows the knight or a piece to come to the e4 square, and Black doesn't have any problems whatsoever. But Parham saying, you know what, I'm gonna just march my pawns on the queen side, see how far they can go.
Yeah, Parham had a similar structure with colors reversed in yesterday's match, and maybe he thought, okay, I like that space advantage, should try it myself. But here it doesn't feel like he's achieved much. Black could control that e5 square quite well, can prepare that break, putting his bishop on f6 and then giving up the other bishop and breaking in the center. I think Abdusattorov is just fine.
Yeah, I think so too, after all. And there we see a trade of pawns and the queen going to c7, supporting this e5 break that Jan mentioned, and the queen stepping forward to connect the two rooks. I mean, White's position is solid. I wouldn't say, you know, Black, despite making all the right moves, has done and has got a winning position or even better position.
No,
But it's
White does
nothing.
start with an advantage, so you have, of course, some leeway there when we're saying we don't like his approach. It means he didn't get anything. It's not like he's in trouble yet. And on the clock he caught up a little bit, so things aren't too bad just yet for Parham.
Yeah, and actually Abdusattorov told us some of his strategy. His game plan was basically to hold with the black pieces and put as much pressure with the white pieces, and there we see
Unheard of game plan.
completely unheard of, never been done before, I joke. And there we see Parham's heart rate rising to 130, whereas Nodirbek very calm, nothing wrong. I mean,
He's attacking the pawn on c5, but Parham covers it with the knight, not allowing any trickery. But Black is very, very comfortable. I like this move, queen b7, covering the rook, hinting at b takes c5.
and
Parham has to be careful here to take control.
he certainly has to be careful. He has to remember that this bishop on g6 exists and it exerts control over the b1 square. It can be easy to forget those things, especially when you don't have so much time on the clock. And Parham, well, suddenly it just dawned on me, he's on 42 seconds.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time. Brings the bishop back. If you're wondering about my voice, by the way, I think I finally hit puberty, so it might jump up and down a little bit. Hope it doesn't bother you.
No, yeah. And there we see a trade of pawns, and big question for Parham. He only can capture in one way, and that's with his knight.
Take with the knight. Gotta take with the knight.
Yes, he has to do it. Why is he thinking? What's he planning? Is he perhaps planning to trade off rooks? No.
No.
He plays the obvious, but it cost him some seconds. And the position is still tense. Still some questions to be answered, because after knight takes knight, pawn takes, the queen can now swoop in to the b3 square and again ask questions.
Yeah, but Parham will be able to answer these questions. There's nothing too bad yet. What is this move? Rook a6. Interesting.
It is very interesting, and I mean, it doesn't do that much though, aside from threaten to double.
Confusing.
Okay, now. Okay, what are we going to see? Okay, refusing the trade. I like that idea. The one thing that does worry me about Abdusattorov's position is this weak c6 pawn, and suddenly White's pieces have gotten very active.
It's hard to attack that c6 pawn though, and White has to be careful not to run into any e5 counters, because his king could feel a little alone there. That's why Abdusattorov plays the bishop on e4 to pronounced. There are some weaknesses around the king.
And Maghsoodloo on 14 seconds. I like this move. Okay, yes, it weakens the king, but it does trade off that powerful light squared bishop. And whoa, Abdusattorov, he says, your king is undefended. I'm gonna go for the makings of an attack.
Yeah, rook b3 is putting some
It's
pressure.
coming in. And trade of... I like this move from Parham, chasing away the rook, go back. Very good strategy. And now he has to look at his king and he has to take some defensive measures, because look at that king all alone. And Parham, 8 seconds. Not easy position at all.
Players do get 2 extra seconds per move, so it's not desperation time yet, but it's time to speed up a little bit, targeting that pawn on h5. Dusattorov will cover with g6, but what's he thinking about?
And he's twiddling the rook, and now the rook comes into b3.
Worried about this e4 pawn.
And Parham holding
Parham might be better, he's winning a pawn.
He is winning a pawn. And the king just slides over to protect the bishop. But black's pieces are very active. And Parham retreating the queen, holding solid.
Pawn is a pawn, white is pressing here.
Yes. And it seems to be a pattern with Parham's play, you know. He just manages to wait in a very efficient way, and then suddenly his opponent drops a pawn. And Nodirbek in trouble. And we have to remember, whoever loses this match will be eliminated from the competition. And now Nodirbek is under 10 seconds. Strikes out in the center. And how is he going to create some chaos to compensate for this
Dodged
pawn?
a bullet there with his move rook d1. I thought the rook would come to a6, but Parham's trying to keep as much control as possible. But is he going to convert? Doesn't look easy.
No, the rook comes back to attack the c-pawn. And seconds! Okay, Nodirbek would be very happy with the draw. He's a pawn down, remember. 4, 3. Now the rook comes down. Now the bishop is simply going to move. He's going to lose on time.
And he dropped some pieces. What's going on now? The rook can be taken, but the white king is in check if white could move.
He's lost on time.
And he loses on time. But he was lost anyway. Queen to f3, there was rook g1 check, winning the queen, and pawn to f3, queen c2 was checkmate. So that escalated quickly.
In the closing moments of that game, I mean, what a story between these two players. I mean, it looked like Nodirbek full control, great opening, very solid position for Parham, and then suddenly, from nowhere towards the end, the position just exploded after Nodirbek
Well,
lost.
Nodirbek was taking risks by allowing this bishop takes e4, leaving that pawn weak, trying to generate chances, and then at some point he missed a little tactic, that pawn dropped. Here we see this moment. Now he has his weak pawn there, and here, for example, he could have gone queen to d5, play for the endgame, but he decided to keep it messier. Almost paid the price.
Yeah, almost did, but they do say fortune favors the brave, and here, somehow or other, it worked out. And here's
These are
where
the final moments. Bishop c3, he's almost losing on time, he can't decide, and yeah, dropping some pieces in the process. After queen b3, now Parham didn't have a choice, takes there, the rook gets taken, and after the queen takes the pawn, there comes the killer move, queen e4 check, and the white king doesn't have anywhere to go. If it moves away, rook h1 is checkmate. If the queen steps in, you lose the queen with rook g1, f3, that's queen c2, you're just being mated.
Yeah.
Parham resigns and lose on time.
Exactly. And, well, big smile from Nodirbek there. He knows he dodged a bullet there. And, well, both players now, they don't have much time to recover. It's 50 seconds from the start of the second game. And now Parham, playing with the black pieces, is in a must-win situation. If he wants to remain in this competition, he has to win. He's got to take it to Armageddon. And for Nodirbek, you can just see he is calming his nerves. He's thinking about what he has to do. He's been in this situation before. He did it. He was in this situation in yesterday's match against Karthikeyan, and there he almost squandered away the game. And 17 seconds until the start of play. Players getting ready, final moments. You can feel the tension, I certainly can. And here we go. Handshake, and they are off. And Nodirbek opening with e4, and this seems to be the way forward, just to open with a modern defense.
Well, it's a desperate choice. He's trying to keep play in the position. This is not an attempt to equalize the game, but to keep as many pieces as possible on the board. But of course, you do pay a price by giving up all this space in the center.
Well, it's a very popular opening for players who are in a must-win situation with the black pieces. Yes, you know, it might have a dubious reputation, but, you know, it keeps all the pieces on the board. There's a lot of tension and there's a lot of scope for both sides to go wrong. And he's adopting something.
He's going for the
hedgehog.
hippo.
Oh, the hippo, sorry.
This is called the hippopotamus because your formation allegedly resembles one. I don't really see it, but he will put a pawn on b6, bring the knight to e7, the bishop to b7, and provoke white to break this formation. Nodirbek knows what he's doing though. Putting this knight on g3 is the best antidote, and white is very, very solid. I'm not sure Parham will have an easy time opening this position up.
No, he will not have an easy time. That's a good strategy from the teenager. These guys, they know everything. And looking at the heart rates, we can see Parham on 124, whereas Nodirbek, cool as a cucumber, 83. And, well, Nodirbek, Parham has a big decision, castles kingside.
Yeah, I'm not sure Parham is particularly nervous. He just seems to have a higher resting heart rate, because we always see him at very high numbers, even at the start. But if he's below 150 for him, it doesn't seem like things are out of control.
Yeah. Well, now Nodirbek has to make a decision. What's he going to do? He's going to develop his dark square.
Keep making moves. It's on black to, at some point, try to mix it, determine the structure, and then black will have to take some chances. If he goes e5 or c5 or f5, there will be weaknesses. Usually they go king h7 first, queen d2, and then Parham will have to do something. Won't be easy.
It won't be easy, but okay, he's burning time on the clock. This is risky. You know, you have to play fast, and preferably you have to play well. But often this is a difficult thing to do. I agree with you, put the king on h7. I personally would be playing for f5. It's the most scary move on the board. And, you know, you're in a must-win situation. You have to take risks. And Parham now under 2 minutes, thinking about what to do.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's cool to play all these first moves quickly and you have this formation, but then you're sitting there trying to calculate breaks, and none of those really work so well. So at the top level, this is a very rare guest for a reason. Pawn to h4 would be the ambitious move now. Not sure if Nodirbek feels the need for it, but it would be very, very typical.
Yeah, h4, we will see. Nodirbek, 2 minutes. Other moves could be to step the queen up, but then, you know, you are inviting f7, f5. And Nodirbek's heart rate going down to a new low of 78.
Very calm kid.
Very calm, taking deep breaths all the way, but his clock time is burning down. And there we see the queen step to c7, connecting the rooks. And now I feel like it's do or die time for Parham. He has to break out. I mean, his pieces are so cramped. I mean, the whole idea of the hippo is that, you know, you lurk under the waters, and there it comes.
Here we go. But this, as you can see by the engine bar, is very dangerous. Could backfire because you're giving yourself weaknesses. But he didn't have a choice if he wants to spice the game up. Pawn to f4, trying to at least lock this kingside a little bit. And now, at least here's a plan. He's going to go e5 and then play for an attack on the king side. Not sure I love that move, bishop d2. Maybe Abdusattorov should have taken to open the e-file for his rook.
Yeah, the knight's going to retreat to the f1 square, and here it comes, e5, closing the position down. If we look to the left of the board, we see that there is a bar which assesses the computer evaluation of the position, and the computer evaluation is saying dead even, But look at this. Parham moving his pieces towards the king side. There is an attack brewing, and, well, Nodirbek under some pressure. Both players now around the 1 minute mark. And there we see the rook centralize. And now the king takes a step back and tucks itself away, right in the corner, away from any danger.
Yeah, I still don't see any particular danger for white, but long term it can be a bit unpleasant if you see this potential pawn storm coming. So yeah, Nodirbek, I think, might regret that he kept the position so closed. Now he's trying to manufacture some play, but it's not simple at all. And we can also see on the clock he's falling behind because he's made this a little tougher to play for himself.
Yeah. I have to say, never underestimate the psychological pressure that one feels when one sees this pawn structure. Because, you know, us humans, we understand there is always that potential to go wrong. And Parham, actually, more unusually, up on the clock. And there he's bringing his knight to the game. There is the potential threat of black playing h5 followed by g4. That's why Nodirbek moves his queen over to e2 just to cover some squares. The queen is a magnificent defender. And now, yep, that bishop is going to retreat to c8. And Nodirbek is, I feel, in some trouble. And there we see him moves his rook up to the third row. And Nodirbek just 25 seconds left.
It's time to push these pawns, Parham. No, he takes on d4. That's a shocker.
That is a shock. And, okay, what's his idea?
Why open the position there? Very surprising. He must have spotted something concrete, but I don't get it. Right back, what's his point? Because now your attack no longer works because the center is way too open. So I don't get why he didn't keep it stable, but he wants to grab that pawn.
Okay, and now the bishop comes out.
Seems to work, but he gave a pawn back. I think he missed that this pawn was under attack. Still has a majority in the center.
And black's pieces are very active. And Nodirbek parking the bishop on d5. But he just has 15 seconds left to survive this position, and he has to hold on with every piece that he has. 32 seconds.
Did he blunder? Did he blunder bishop to d7? Queen b5, bishop d7, and he lose material. If I see it correctly, the queen only has one square, and then bishop takes a4, picks up a lot of things. We might see Armageddon. 2 seconds for Nodirbek here.
Yep.
Here we are.
You'll have to retreat the queen, and there you go.
This is over. This is winning the house because you pick up a whole rook.
And the rook is going, and he loses on time.
Whoa.
Ooh. Parham winning with the black pieces to take the match to Armageddon. And there we see the players.
He showed himself a fine psychologist by choosing that opening, understanding that Nodirbek might be reluctant to open the position, keep it too sharp. Wasn't a great situation, but Nodirbek trying to keep everything under control, keeping it close. Really backfired there. And this is a big moment. I never even thought about that move, but Parham had spotted he can go after the pawn, changing the nature of the position. Very strong game by Parham Maghsoodloo.
Yeah, very impressive. And we'll have some more moments from the game. And
yeah, it escalated quickly. The next moment might already be the finish, because Parham, after spotting this rook to a8, here this is the decisive mistake, and now rook to a8, bishop d7, and all the white pieces drop really like dominoes. The queen has to go to b5, gets attacked, has to go to b3, gets attacked, has to go to the a file. You take the rook, the queen is attacked again, and it's just game over. Rare sequence.
Yeah, we're going to see that sequence. And Nodirbek knows time on the clock. Well, he cracks. And here he comes. This is the moment when Nodirbek realizes, ups, all over. And great comeback from Parham. We are less than a minute away from Armageddon.
What are the rules again?
What are the rules? White will have 5 minutes, black will have 4 minutes, but black gets the draw odds. White's in a must-win situation. No increment whatsoever. What you see on the clock is what you get. And of course, Parham riding high from his last victory means that the psychological advantage is in his favor. And there we see the players in darkness. The whole studio will light up once the game begins. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. 14.
Nodirbek with the white pieces means he will have to win. And I would assume we won't see another hippopotamus now. It's Nodirbek in the must-win situation instead of Parham. How quickly the fortunes change.
And there we see the board lights up and Nodirbek opening with a queen's pawn, and instead we are going to see perhaps, okay, queen's gambit declined, or maybe not. Will the bishop come out all the way to b4? It is the Rogozin, which is one of the most popular variations these days.
Yeah, it's very theoretical, so you would think it's more Nodirbek's ballpark than Parham's. Nodirbek also playing this with the black pieces. Parham might be winging this a little bit, already thinking he goes bishop to f5 directly. Usually you start with castles, but it still could transpose to one of the big main lines of modern chess.
And
Really
Parham,
taking his time here.
yeah, he is taking his time. Is he going to go c6 or c5? Okay, he develops his knight. This is all good.
I think Nodirbek can sense that Parham might be slightly winging it, but on the plus side, he did get Nodirbek out of his book. So Nodirbek now has to think for himself. Goes knight to e5, very direct.
Yeah, and what is black going to play? Is he gonna castle? Is he gonna drop his bishop back? Is he gonna go very adventurous? No, instead he reinforces the protection of d5, and there we see some trade of knights. And
Yeah,
now
well
the
played
bishop
by
comes out.
Nodirbek. He forced black to recapture there with the bishop, and that means that the black bishop has to leave his active post. White has a small advantage now in a fairly classical Karlsbad structure.
And the bishop retreats, had to break the pin, and there we see Nodirbek dropping the queen back, and now it's just about white building up an attack against the king side.
I'm not sure about that. Knight h5 offering the exchange of bishops there, which won't be easy to avoid. Looks like Parham is not too unhappy about this. White could go for the classical minority attack there with the pawn to b4, trying to push that pawn further to create a weakness in black's camp. And Parham is fighting against it by stopping that pawn. Nodirbek wondering what to do next. Brings the knight.
Oh, this is your favorite, and park the knight on c5, and then you start with your minority attack.
Exactly.
I was watching your recommendations, Jan. And now the rooks come and line themselves up on the e-line, and okay, Nodirbek saying, okay, the action is happening on the queen side. That is where I'm going to focus my attentions. Somehow I feel that Parham has gotten over the worst of it. He's managed to trade off dark squared bishops, dropped back the knight, and okay, protecting the king a little bit with the h3 move, and here it comes. a4, b5 is in the air.
Yeah, it's a very classical situation, but Nodirbek has a bit of a head start. Black typically wants to counter on the king side here, trying to attack, which maybe is awkward for Parham because he only needs to draw, so he might be reluctant to be pushing his pawns there. But if he keeps waiting, then white will inflict some damage on the queen side, so he has to find a way.
Definitely.
Trading this knight, I didn't like it, standing in the way there of the queen. Not
Yeah.
so easy what to do next.
And one thing I don't like whatsoever is Parham's clock handling. You remember the players are not getting any increment whatsoever, and Parham really burning down the clock to 1 minute 47, whereas Nodirbek, well, he has all the time in the world in comparison, just under 3.5 minutes. And here comes the fruition of the minority attack. We're playing b4, b5. And ooh, the knight coming to g4. There's a sacrifice on h3 in the air.
Yeah, it feels slow though. Still think Nodirbek should be in control here, but he now has to calculate if he can allow bishop takes h3 and just proceed with his game on the queen side, or if he wants to go h4, as he does, trying to chase that knight back.
Very practical decision, and also just note, he just took the easy way out. No need to calculate anything, no need to spend all that time on the clock. Drive that knight back, And Parham has to retreat when he comes into the center. He could have done that many moves ago. He chooses to do it now. And
yeah,
Parham,
at least he provoked a weakness on the white king side, so it wasn't all in vain.
that's true. And Parham, oh, he's not got so much time, under 1.5 minutes, and he has to speed up now. And there you go, pawn to h5. It is protected for the time being. Is the queen? Okay, well, there's a threat on c6, so he has to protect that pawn.
Yeah, white is just better and very stable now. Rook c5, rook c1 coming. He's also
Can
more than a minute
Can
ahead.
he abandon that pawn and go queen to g5 and perhaps put the bishop on h3? Does he? I think he has time for that. Or maybe not. No, he defends the
Rook
d7
c5
pawn.
was coming. No matter what here, the queen can't stick around on g5. It's not so much that anything's dropping quickly, but the extra time combined with the fact that white is so stable, I think means that Parham is a big underdog here. He's playing quickly though now. Rook e6, rook f6, trying to generate some play. But is it gonna be enough?
Oh, he allows rook f6 now.
Yeah, but then
but-
bishop c4 or bishop f1, I don't think it's doing that much. He might be calculating. No, he can't take. No, he should move the bishop.
Yeah, if he, there is some danger for white. The king is abandoned, and the bishop can relocate itself to g4. And
Find out.
he has to do something though. 52 seconds, and okay, bishop f1. Very solid move from Nodirbek, and he's reaching for the bishop. It's no time. What is he gonna do?
I was gonna praise Parham for catching up on the clock, but now he spends a lot of time on that move again, which might be costly in the end, because I don't see a way to generate an attack here in the remaining seconds. And then it can come down to poor clock handling.
Yeah, and he grabs that pawn.
He's pinned on that 5th rank. Let's put the queen on g6. There are so many weaknesses now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the clock. 30 seconds. I feel like Nodirbek can almost play anything, and he will win on time. And there, the c pawn falls. Rook comes to e6.
Pawn to d5 now looks crushing. He doesn't do that. That's surprising.
No. Oh, but there is danger now. The rook has gone to b6. It's going to go to b1, and perhaps white's king is going to be in trouble. But nope. Nodirbek finds an antidote.
His position should be equal, slightly better for white, but the problem is if he spends so much time, you just don't have a chance practically with 17 seconds here against a minute.
Yeah.
As long as Nodirbek keeps making moves quickly, you can't force a draw. You're just losing. It's Armageddon. The players still aren't used to it, that they don't get increment anymore. In modern chess, they're so used to playing with increment that it feels like sometimes they are still slightly mishandling the clock.
Yeah, and now Parham 11 seconds on the clock. He needs a miracle if he wants to save this game. Attacking the f2 pawn. Okay. What's he
Nodirbek
gonna do?
calculating, pushes the pawn. Parham is going for the perpetual. It's his last chance. Queen g3, queen e1 would force a draw, but after queen to e5, I don't think there is any perpetual. So that, I assume, is what Nodirbek's going to do. Yeah, there comes the queen, stopping the check, and time is running out. Queen to g3. Oh, it takes him. Oh, he blundered, he blundered.
He's got 4 seconds
Perpetual,
there.
perpetual. Maybe he can claim. Oh no, he doesn't do it. What's he doing?
He's going to do it now. Oh my god.
Bishop can drop back, bishop can drop back, and lose.
And he's lost on time.
Oh. Wow, he got a chance there. King h3, he missed his f4 move, but he was very fortunate. Parham didn't have time there. Oh my god.
What a dramatic turn of events in those last seconds.
Nodirbek Abdusattorov wins in Armageddon. Looked like he was cruising to make victory, but he gave us some entertainment there in the last moves by almost missing a checkmate on g3. I'm sure we'll see it in the highlights eventually.
And here we go. Nodirbek in full cruise control. He grabs the c6 pawn. His king looks safe. No danger whatsoever. But somehow the panic sets in, and this is the moment where things start to shift in Parham's favor. The queen moves. The rook will come down to the b1 square. and there you go.
Yeah, this end game was nothing special, but Nodirbek had an extra minute, so I thought it would be smooth sailing from here. But if we look at the next highlight, things did get out of hand here after this move pawn to h3. I don't understand why he didn't put the queen on g3 here. He decided to take, and now he missed it. If he takes the bishop, it's queen g3 checkmate. So he had to adjust, and he got very lucky that Parham only has a couple seconds here, because this position no longer can be won for white if black just keeps giving checks. But Parham did not quite have time.
And he checked on the wrong square as well. He just needed 10 seconds on the clock and he would have done it, but he only had 3, and that's it. It wasn't enough, and Parham unfortunately is eliminated from the competition, whereas Nodirbek Abdusattorov goes through to the next stage, and Nodirbek will now face off against the loser between Kramnik and Gukesh. And take a look at those heart rates. Parham Maghsoodloo with a high heart rate of 173, whereas Nodirbek, well, he's very cool in comparison, 127.
That is high for his standards, though he did get a little anxious there at the end of that Armageddon game.
Ooh.
What do we have? Do we have Parham with Fiona?
We will have Parham with Fiona soon, and I'm sure we will catch up with both these players. Can't wait to hear their thoughts. And let's go to Fiona where she has an interview.
Parham, this was such a tough match. I mean, you lost the first game, then you came back, then Armageddon. Let's start from the end. Can you tell us about the Armageddon game?
It was very tense game. I think it was very unbalanced, and we were both having huge pressure, I think, in this position, because I also got some very nice counterplay, because it was difficult to play as black, but I think I managed to do it very well. I got this h5 pawn, and then I put big pressure in his king. So I think I just fought very well, but finally it ended good for him, because I was just playing too slow. Okay, I knew that I have to play faster. I was looking at the clock and I was somehow telling myself that it should be faster, but it was not so easy to be so fast. Also, he's very tricky, and I managed to trick him very well at the end with this f4, but he found this king h2, king g1, and bishop goes to f1, and I lose on time for sure. So that's, I think, he found this resource very good.
The second game, though, it was quite incredible how you managed to fight back with the black pieces.
Yes, I think I did it in very easy way. Like, I didn't feel any pressure during the game, and I didn't put any pressure on myself that I really have to win, and if you don't win, it's over. I was not thinking like this, and I wanted to play chess. And I think I just outplayed him very simply in this position, and I was so happy about my game. Okay, first game, I think I was completely winning. At the moment that I play rook d2 and he played rook b5, I can just play f4 and play this pawn up end game, which has so many weaknesses, and it's easy win. But I missed it, and I lost that game, which was very painful. I think I should never have lose this game, but anyway, it turned good for him, and congrats to him. He's my rival for many years, and I hope he achieves best.
Well, that's very nice of you. And now that the tournament is over for you, how do you reflect on this Armageddon tournament, the format, but also your performance?
Yeah, it was a very nice tournament for sure, and I think I had very interesting games, and they were all like fighting games. I think I had 2 Armageddons, and also nice matches against Kramnik we played. I really love this tournament because it's so much tension and so much nervous, and I got so I got so impressed how you managed to organize this tournament, because it's just very fun to play it.
Well, thank you for those words, and we loved having you here. For now, back to the studio with Jovanka and Jan.
Thank you, Fiona. And it is a great pleasure to have Nodirbek Abdusattorov in the studio with us. And Nodirbek, you came into the studio with the biggest smile I've ever seen. That was quite the dramatic match.
Yeah, that was a very dramatic match. Yeah, I'm very lucky that I managed to win. Yeah, I somehow panicked at the end of the Armageddon to just, I could just promote the queen, but I didn't like the h3, and then I somehow just wanted to prevent this queen g3 and play queen f5, which was queen e5, which was a very bad mistake.
Yeah. And we saw you in the Armageddon. You almost blundered checkmate. We saw.
Yeah, that would have been very unfortunate. Yeah.
And look, here's the moment.
Yeah,
Did h3 take you by surprise?
But just queen g3 you can play, no?
Yeah, queen g3. Yeah, queen g3. I was worried maybe queen g3, king g3, and bishop d7. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a draw.
Maybe it's a draw,
3
but
seconds.
yeah.
Okay. So you
Yeah, and here's the moment. And
now
Yeah.
he probably had a perpetual, but he doesn't have enough time.
Yeah, but I mean.
Your clock
very
measurement saved the day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was very dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the last position I think is winning for white because he couldn't take bishop d7 and queen h5, bishop c4. But yeah.
Yes, have queen h4 maybe,
Yeah.
queen g3, but okay,
Yeah.
with 3 seconds is not measured.
It's,
But what's the story? You keep winning the first game with black, and then things get a little out of control with white there. What happened in that
yeah,
second
that's
game?
very strange also for me because yeah, I want to play it safe in second game, but he played some I think it's called hippo opening, and I couldn't find a plan how to play that position, and then he started to, you know, just push the pawns, kingside pawns, and yeah, I spent many time on my clock, and I followed some random tactic at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very unfortunate. So
Yeah.
you made it through. You will face the loser of Kramnik against Gukesh. You said you wanted to play Kramnik right now, or you prefer to play him later?
We'll see. Yeah, of course, it would be very interesting to play against Kramnik, but yeah, it will be very tough for him, I think.
Well, thank you very much, Abdusattorov, Nodirbek, sorry, and good luck in your remaining games.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we have to mention one of our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, a profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, official online ratings and titles recognized by International Chess Federation, as well as prize money tournaments and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
And we're back with the match of the two guys that have won everything so far. Gukesh versus Kramnik. Kramnik almost 3 times as old as Gukesh.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad for him?
Well, both these players have had a very interesting path. You know, Kramnik, I have to say, has been quite convincing. Gukesh, he survived against Abdusattorov and won in the Armageddon. And interesting fact, Vladimir once coached some Indian students, and one of them was Gukesh. So let's have a look at Gukesh. He's just 16 years old, became a grandmaster at 13 years old, and was won the gold medal for his individual performance at the Chennai Olympiad. He's the third youngest grandmaster in history, and get this, also loves table tennis. Let's hear more from Gukesh himself.
I'm Gukesh from India. Chess players have different ways to cope with pressure and nervousness, and mine is just doing some meditation and yoga. It has really helped me in the past and hopefully in the future. I think there are a lot of very interesting players in this field, but I would really look forward to playing against Vladimir Kramnik, because I have worked with him, and he's one of the greatest players of all times. I could win this championship by being the best version of myself, just being as sharp as possible, and I'll just do my best and hope for the best outcome. It's a very strong field, and have not really showed my absolute best in blitz tournaments, so it'll really mean a lot to me if I win this one.
Highly motivated Gukesh. Well, Kramnik, we don't know, he's retired from classical chess a couple of years ago, but he's shown us how formidable he remains. The 14th world champion, living legend, three-time Olympiad winner, the man who defeated Garry Kasparov in the year 2000. Similar to Gukesh, he had a tremendous outing at one of his first Olympiads, I think his first in 1992. He scored 8.5 out of 9, insane score. He's been around.
He certainly has, and let's hear more from Vladimir Kramnik in his own words.
I'm Vladimir Kramnik, professional chess player, grandmaster, former world chess champion. Well, I try not to have any additional thoughts in my mind and just which move I'm going to play, and I rely on my reflexes at this moment of a game. My chess style is trying to make the best moves in each given position. I'm trying to play best moves. I rarely manage, but that is my goal. I would like to play the young players, especially Gukesh, because he was one of my pupils a few years ago, so it would be a pleasure to play with him.
Did get his wish.
Yes, I like how everyone is getting their wish, and how the youngsters all want to play against the former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. And we are less than a minute away from start of play. Oh, this one is gonna be huge. It's the battle of generations. Vladimir Kramnik, these days playing in a very aggressive way, and Gukesh, who thrives in positions where he can calculate his way either into attack or into defense. And we are coming to 20 seconds, and there we see Gukesh with the white pieces facing off against the man nicknamed Big Vlad. What an imposing presence he has on the board.
Called himself a professional chess player in the video we just saw. Surprising. I thought by now he's saying he's retired, just an amateur playing for fun. No, still a pro. Gukesh with white. Can he handle?
And there we go. And Gukesh opening with a d-pawn, and Kramnik inviting a French defense, and Gukesh says, no, I'll not have any of that.
Kramnik is messing around a little with the move order, trying to confuse his young opponent, but it's not anything to worry about for Gukesh. The knight will just come out to f6, and we're back to a theoretical position. But it did win him like 10 seconds. And back to business.
Yes, and Gukesh actually employing one of his lines that he's played before with success. And the bishop coming out to f4. He likes this a lot. And Kramnik now using the knight to attack this bishop. Big question.
Kramnik knows the subtleties here. We'll see another Carlsbad structure very similar to what we just saw between Abdusattorov and Maghsoodloo. These bishops also get exchanged, and will be the typical plans again. Black trying to attack on the king side, white trying to generate something on the queen side. Looks like Gukesh is out of book, so that's good news for Kramnik. And yeah, he plays bishop e2. Very sensible move, not allowing this knight to jump into the f4 square.
And I was observing the heart rates, and I can see that Gukesh, his is racing up. It was around 90 and it went up to 115 at some point. And now he's
Come
going
down again.
He has come down
All the
because he
meditating.
spotted the plan that he wants to do. It is the good old-fashioned minority attack, where he's going to go b2, b4 and chip away at the black queen side. And Kramnik rerouting the knight. He's going to put it on g7.
It's called minority attack because white only has 2 pawns there on the queen side, while black has 3, but it's still white who lunges forward with his pawn, trying to create a weakness in the black camp. Gukesh not in a hurry though.
No, he's not in a hurry, just giving his king some squares, and Kramnik rerouting the knight. And I like the way that Gukesh is like, well, consequences. You abandon control of the e5 square, but this is black's point. The light square bishop is now out.
And rook c1, a small concession, gives up the dream of pushing his b pawn, and a bit unclear what white wants to do next. Looks like Kramnik is comfortable here. Push the h pawn. No, he wants to exchange the knight.
Yeah, this is a good move by Kramnik. When you don't have so much space, trade off some pieces. Send your children to boarding school is the expression. I guess the knight will retreat. Okay, he goes for that trade.
I don't think they know your rules.
No, they don't.
Takes, bishop takes, and knight to a4.
Knight has to go to a4. And
Expansion, but he doesn't do it. Gukesh is welcoming more trades because the more pieces get exchanged here, the tougher it is for black to counterattack on the king side, while the white plan should usually work with limited material too. But he has to be careful that the black knight from g7 doesn't reach its dream square on d6.
And
Kramnik says no, time to counterattack. Bold choice.
it is a bold choice. And I think it's very thematic as well. I mean, whenever I look at this type of positions from the black side, there's always one name that pops out in my database, and that is Vladimir Kramnik. And he's lunging on the king side. Now's the time to reroute some pieces, build up your attack. And there, woohoo, he's going for it. G5, and queen stepping to D2. And taking a look at the clock times, both players, well, they're comfortable around the 1 minute 40 mark. And
Onto a4, nice move, stopping that minority attack, that pawn push from white for good, because now if this pawn were to move, they would be en passant, so Gukesh has to switch to defense on the king side, and he does.
he does. But the problem is that Kramnik has a free hand to do whatever he likes, and there he just moves his queen just to overprotect this pawn on f5.
Very tense situation. White would love to transfer his knight to a better square, ideally to this e5 square, but it takes a long time to shuffle it around.
And Gukesh now with almost a 20-second deficit, or more than that now.
Is that too much respect? There comes the knight headed towards e5, but Kramnik will not sit idly. He will push one of his pawns before that horsey.
I think he's going to go for h-pawn, get that nice row. And then I've seen, okay, no, he's going for g4. He will, sometimes you can be inspired by like artificial intelligence, and there were some games with AlphaZero where the king, AlphaZero played with the black pieces, part the king on h6, just to clear the way for the rooks to get involved in the attack. And we see a trade of pawns.
Gukesh countering in the center, willing to part with his d-pawn, but I'm sure he has a plan. What is his plan though? If the queen captures the pawn, I don't see it yet. Very curious.
Well,
Maybe queen.
he's gonna. Isn't he gonna go forward with his pawn and threaten bishop takes pawn?
Well, Kramnik will probably spot that.
Is it not dangerous though? I mean, to allow the pawn to e5. Okay, well, Kramnik thinking.
Take the pawn, Vladi.
Yeah, there's still things to be calculated. Gukesh is fantastic in these attacking positions. Okay, he's taken
Do it.
the e-pawn, but this feels like this is good for white. Black's overstretched his resources on the king side, and this position is so sharp with the players not having so much time on the clock.
Yeah, white should be somewhat for choice now, but both sides below a minute. The good thing for Gukesh is now his king is safer, because Kramnik, by attacking, exposed his own king. Gukesh showing a lot of respect though, taking a lot of time for every move. They do get the 2 extra seconds, but still, speed up a little.
Yeah, and talking about speeding up, take a look at Vlad's heart rate, 145. Ooh, and well, that is a spanner in the works for Gukesh.
Yeah, you can't take it.
You can't take it. And also big threat of the queen coming to h4, but okay, one thing Gukesh can do is attack that pawn.
I don't get that move, knight f5.
Queen comes to f4. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And now Kramnik, 25
bring the other
seconds.
rook into the game, rook d8. Why don't you do that, Mr. Kramnik? He wants to move on the king side. What's he doing? Queen out of the way? Yeah, queen g6. Interesting.
It is. Is he setting up a trick of knight takes pawn?
Gukesh sidestepping, and here comes the rook hitting that d4 pawn. Gukesh attacks the queen, but if it goes out of the way, there's a checkmate threat, and Kramnik is in the driver's seat. Queen h2 is checkmate. The pawn cannot easily get taken, so the knight has to block it. And now black wins the pawn and has reclaimed the initiative.
And Kramnik under 10 seconds, but the position
nervous.
is still very sharp. And now take the pawn.
Oh, he gave the pawn back. Yeah, Kramnik, now that they're down to the last second, seems to be struggling a bit. Of course, he also wants to be a great role model for his former student, show him how this is handled with great class and without any shenanigans.
Well, still, there's a lot of questions for... Uh-oh, there
Cost him
goes
some
another
pawns.
pawn.
Gukesh much cooler in this phase, just taking all the pawns. He left one there.
And giving a check. Kramnik hiding his king away, but now all Gukesh has to do is build. And love this move.
Situation for Kramnik now. Pawn down.
He throws a check, but you can just see the pack. He's going to lose on time.
Oh, barely made it.
But okay, he blundered.
Gives a piece, and he's saying enough.
Oh, and in the end, it was the clock that proved to be Kramnik's downfall as he loses to 16-year-old Gukesh. Oh.
Yeah, Kramnik was controlling the game well, but then in the end, with the 10 seconds per player, he just couldn't handle the heat.
No, this is kind of also the position now gets very, very sharp as soon as these pawns get traded in the middle of the board. I mean, both kings are out there in the open, but it really goes to show that in this time control, the clock is the 17th piece. And here we see a nice move from Kramnik, throwing in the G pawn. And Gukesh, with time burning down on his clock, manages to remain very calm and collected. And here we see some more moments. And we see Kramnik, you can almost see it in the body language. He's just panicking. You know, he's got half his thoughts are occupied by the clock and the other half is by the position. And there, he wins the pawn. Looks good.
The thing is, as old players, we grew up playing 5-0. Well, nowadays it's 3-2 where you get the 2 extra seconds. Usually you aren't used to the stress of making a good move every 2 seconds. And I think this adjusting is not so easy if you don't have a lot of practice with it. And here it caught up with Kramnik.
And here's the big
clock ticking
blunder.
down and time running out. He drops a piece as well. It's all over.
And yeah, here we see the resign time from Kramnik. Ooh, well, he won't have much time to recover from that loss. Just 50 seconds till the start of play. And Kramnik will have the white pieces. He's in a must-win situation, but he's been in this situation before. Just a throwback to his match against Dubov, where he lost with the black pieces, but he turned it around in game 2 and took it all the way to Armageddon. Can the former world champion do the same now? Well, he will have to not get into time travel and just resort to the things that he does best.
Well, he has to put some pressure on Gukesh. Kramnik still working very hard on his openings. So should try to ask a question there and not let it get down to the final seconds, because we could see that Gukesh is just quicker there in that phase.
Yeah, and that's it. They are off, and Kramnik opening with the e4 pawn. He's favoured this in his last few games, and here we go, going for the c3 Sicilian.
Yeah, interesting choice. Typically not what you do in a must-win situation. Consider more of a solid opening. I'm sure he has a trick or two up his sleeve there. Brings the knight to the rim. Could jump further to the b5 square. Bishop e2, another strange move. He's really improvising here.
Yeah, he is improvising, but perhaps that's what he needs to coax Gukesh into using more time on the clock. And Gukesh simply just getting some squares available for that dark squared bishop. Gukesh getting ready to castle. And here comes the break in the center. I feel that white always has these types of advantages in these types of positions. Breaking in the center, and there we see a trade of pawns, and here is white's point that he is going to threaten the knight coming to c7, and that's why Gukesh steps back with the queen. And now this allows Kramnik to capture the pawn in the middle with the knight. Which knight is he going to use? He steps back with the b knight, and Gukesh just has to castle, but still the question remains, how is he going to develop his queen side? I mean, the pieces are... You can see Vladimir Kramnik has 125. It's a little bit high, and Gukesh now up to 100. And we have to remember, Kramnik is now in a must-win situation, and players are tense. Gukesh thinking, he captures a knight, knight takes, and now castles. And so he's planning now to develop the light squared bishop. Oh no, he doesn't. He challenges its counterpart, and ooh, the bar has shot up. What has he missed? Is there some trick with knight takes pawn? That Kramnik, no, he attacks the queen. Okay, queen, oh. So we could see it immediately. The queen moves to e7, then the knight will come to f5, and after pawn takes knight, we're going to see bishop takes bishop, winning material. Oh, Kramnik is going to do this. He is going to take the game to Armageddon. Wow. Wow, and there you can see the pain on Gukesh's face as he realizes what's happened. Okay, now bishop takes rook. Kramnik winning material. He is a comfortable exchange up, and all he has to do now is just centralize the pieces, mobilize the rooks, and it is gonna be a question of time until the match, this game, is over. Oh, look at this great strategy from the former world champion, moving his rook to an open line. When you have these positions with material imbalances, it's all about activating the rooks, and the queen will now centralize herself. And Gukesh, I mean, there's really nothing he can do except hold firm. And Gukesh not having too much time on the clock either, just over 1.5 minutes. And Kramnik safety first, pushing the pawn, making some square for the king. Bishop drops back to e2. The bishop can reroute itself to f3, not a problem. And there's just no way that Gukesh's position is going to hold firm. And okay, centralizing the bishop. You can't really suggest any other moves. I suspect that the queen will, okay, driving back the bishop. And what is Kramnik going to do? Play bishop d3, challenge its counterpart? No, he overprotects the g2 pawn. And Gukesh, you're in a must win. No, well, Gukesh struggling big time after losing material on the clock. Just throw some pawns forward, trying to initiate something, but it's all hopeless. And queen coming down to e1, and here comes the pawn avalanche. It's just about mobilizing your pieces and the strongholds, and goodness me,
Kramnik completely winning. The heart rate doesn't look too outrageous either. He does it again.
Yeah, he's going to do it again. And all because of that opening blunder from Gukesh. And, okay, he plays his pawn on f4. The first move that come to my mind is actually, I was going to say rook to e1, asking the question to the bishop. And here we go. Queen.
Yeah, this looks so hopeless. Also, 1 minute 47 really is more than enough time.
And there goes a pawn. Okay, there must be some killer blow now. He's going for b4.
Bishop is overloaded. b5, I'm not sure, because the check keeps the bishop alive. But the exchange of queens should also end the game fairly swiftly. White just has extra material, everything completely under control. We'll get another Armageddon.
Absolutely. Barring a miracle, the rook comes to b4. And no, I mean, this is just hopeless. I mean, b6 is tempting to me. Pawn takes pawn, also tempting. The main thing for Kramnik is just that he has to not leave himself with seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, at least Gukesh managed to make him think, because now it looks like there should be a way to win directly. But maybe Kramnik should just make any move, because his position keeps being winning instead of looking for the cleanest way. But he told us in the video his style is to look for the best moves. Sometimes it doesn't work, but here he found a good one. Queen to the middle, keeping complete control.
And nice, very good position for Kramnik. Knight just comes in to attack, and okay, nope.
Yeah, the black pieces are overloaded. If the knight takes the pawn, then the queen takes the bishop.
That's it.
Gukesh has seen enough.
Ooh, Kramnik manages to win in a must-win situation to take the match to Armageddon. And both players have been in this situation before, and both players were quite convincing in their respective in their earlier Armageddon matches and won.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the psychological advantage?
Well, I think whoever won the latest game has the psychological advantage. But once again, I do think that Gukesh has the speed advantage, and I hope he doesn't have too much respect for the legend in that decisive game. Here he got crushed out of the opening, which, yeah, as mentioned, could be his Achilles heel against a great theoretician like Kramnik to not make it out of there.
No.
And already
this was the big moment. This was the huge moment where Gukesh just blunders, and look how Kramnik pounces.
Yeah.
And that's it. Gukesh loses an exchange, and okay, he tried to fight, but after all, material is material. And now
we don't even have to look at that much here. The final straw, knight c3, rook c1, overloading the pieces. Black will lose another piece, be a whole rook down. Gukesh has seen enough, can start preparing for the Armageddon.
And here we go again.
I'm excited. Gukesh with the white pieces in the Armageddon will have 5 minutes versus Kramnik's 4 minutes. No increment. And this is going to be so interesting, because Kramnik with 4 minutes, he will have to play very, very quickly. But I also really think that it was going to be tricky for him, because he was teaching all these kids, don't play bullet, don't throw pieces around. You want to focus on classical chess, be clean. So he will feel bad setting a bad example here.
We did see Kramnik in action. He beat Dubov with 1 second spare. And, you know, the pieces didn't get thrown around until the last few seconds. So Kramnik, classy guy, and Gukesh, of course, is also one cool competitor. The players are in darkness. Vladimir playing with the black pieces, needs to draw. Gukesh in a must-win situation, and let's get ready. And here we go.
White, I think it's good for him. He is white. He won't get in trouble in the opening, and he changes to the French defense after Kramnik invites it. Kramnik, of course, a walking encyclopedia, can play any opening, but French defense, usually not one of his favorites. Still, he found a way to make Gukesh think early with his move Queen b6. Knight a4, the main move here. But I'm very surprised Gukesh went to e4, because I don't think these e4 positions are his natural habitat. Queen d2, rare move, pawn sacrifice, very aggressive like Gukesh.
It is, and Gukesh allowing it. Now the rook must come to, does it come, it comes to b1, right? And then then you jump in with a knight to b5.
Queen takes a2. I think Gukesh might have mixed up the lines here. This is not the position where you do this. I think he confused it with c takes d, knight takes d4, and then queen b6. Vladi outfoxed his young opponent in the opening yet again.
Well,
but of course, far from over. For now, it's 2 pawns. The knight fork, knight c7, king d8 doesn't do anything because the rook on b1 is also attacked. And it looks like Gukesh has really messed up earlier.
Well, Gukesh having a think. He is 2 pawns down, and now, well, his clock is under 4 minutes.
Also gave up his time advantage. Yeah, this has not gone well. Rook c1. Not the move you're dreaming of making, but at least now he's threatening the fork. Kramnik sidesteps with the rook.
He might as well just throw in that check just to make the black king uncomfortable and then return and say, hey, I've taken away your castling rights. And taking a look at the heart rate, because that's such an interesting fact. Vlad around the 134 mark, whereas Gukesh, in comparison, was around 100. And, well, throws in bishop e2, getting ready to castle. And, well,
it's just 2 pawns down.
He is just 2 pawns down.
Not an ideal situation. Bishop to b4 could maybe force the queen exchange, and this is borderline hopeless already. He might win 1 pawn back on a7, but even then he's left with a horrible endgame. And I'm not even sure you get that pawn after bishop to c5. So Kramnik once again using all his routine in the openings, and I don't like Gukesh's decision to enter the French if he's not a specialist in these sharp lines, because Kramnik knows everything. You can't take him out of book.
Yeah, but in fairness, we have to also say Kramnik choosing some rare, well, not rare lines, but more unfamiliar lines.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You shouldn't allow him to choose anything too unfamiliar where it can hurt you too much.
And we see now Gukesh under Kramnik's clock time, and we have to remember Kramnik started with 1 minute less. Okay, some threats on the board. Knight takes knight, big threat, followed by knight c7.
Yeah, nice little move, at least making Kramnik think.
And Kramnik
looks rattled for the first time. His position is completely fine. He can just castle. But yeah, he took a moment there.
He did. And did you see Kramnik's heart rate spiked to 143?
Yeah, you could see it on his face too.
This is Armageddon, taking chess back to the streets. I love seeing the emotion on the players.
Heart rate monitors on the streets though?
Yeah, they do. Everyone's wearing these wristwatches that monitor.
That is true, actually.
The heart rates. And okay, there the knight jumps into
Gukesh
d6.
is fighting here. He is a tremendous fighter. He gave Kramnik a head start in the last 2 games. But it's only 2.5 minutes, which is not an eternity.
No.
You can see Kramnik showing some nerves here as well, even if he would be 2 pawns up with this Kraken sitting on d6 there. This won't be the easiest of conversions. Gukesh fighting very, very well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The position is not easy for black on account of this bad French bishop. Bishop's parked there on c8. It's not getting out so easily.
Kramnik's wondering which piece to take, or if he can ignore it and just play a move like pawn to b6. But he does take the knight, decides it can't be tolerated, and gives a pawn back on a7 in order to activate his rook. Probably a good practical decision. The knight threatens to jump into e4, giving a check.
Okay, the king comes forward. And now b6 played. Now, well, I like the way that Gukesh is playing. You know, he's creating maximum discomfort to Kramnik. Now the rook is threatening to take the pawn. And Kramnik, ooh, he doesn't even defend it. That's...
he's counterattacking as the d6 pawn, but he has to calculate. If the rook takes the pawn now, Kramnik takes the white pawn. Maybe there are some questions to be asked, although I don't really see it. Looks like Kramnik still has it under control.
Yeah, he might still be in control, but...
check. Knight f5 check.
There is a knight f5.
Rook b7, both work.
But what worries me is the clock time, because the position is still sufficiently complicated for things to go wrong in the ensuing pandemonium. And Kramnik, well, he's now under 2 minutes.
Gukesh very practical, of course he understands he's in trouble, but he's making moves quickly, giving nothing easy. Yeah, I love how he's fighting here. He's such a tremendous player.
And can he make a move like rook f7? And do we see Kramnik?
Happens, but he has to give one pawn back. And although white is in a must-win, doesn't mean that black has to get checkmated. White can just continue playing, and Kramnik has to complete the game within the 1 minute he has. So this is not easy at all yet.
No, not easy at all. And there we see Kramnik go forward with his pawns.
He's trying to force an equal situation. Gukesh could have taken the knight on c4 now, but he prefers to keep a little tension, even though that means he's worse.
And well, he has ideas of playing rook a7, and there we see it. And Kramnik,
Oh,
c2.
you can see Kramnik, his hands start shaking a little bit. Now the threats are appearing.
Okay, he overprotects his rook. I
Yes,
like this
rook.
decision. Don't invite any complications. Play safety chess.
Tough spot for Gukesh. Probably he should keep his g-pawn and advance it one square, for then Kramnik could simplify further. Good move.
It is a
Gukesh
good
has
move.
to keep putting pressure. Make a move. You're worse. You should at least keep the clock in check.
Well, he still has a time advantage over Kramnik, and Kramnik also taking time out to make space for the
It's
king.
too slow. I know I keep saying this, but that's because they keep playing so slowly.
Now, moving the rook back. Ooh. And Gukesh
now he's speeding
keeping
up.
all the pieces on the board, and still
It's a nice move.
it doesn't matter about the quality of the moves here. It's just about the simplicity, the ease of play, and Kramnik picking up the pawn on c3. And now he has 28 seconds to see whether he can hold this position or...
Oh, bishop d4, nice move, blocking off the knight. And bishop b5 picks it up. He's blundered, and Gukesh is gonna win the knight. And I believe the game.
And
So much drama, but probably Kramnik felt like, okay, the hard work is done. There, he didn't place his pawn too precisely. Keeps pressing the clock, and Gukesh says you can't do that.
Is he calling over the arbiter?
Yeah, it's the
I think
second
so.
time Kramnik did it. And Gukesh, I like that he's standing up for himself. He's saying, you can't keep throwing the pieces around. Please do something about it.
And here we have Tanya Karoli, and she will consult the footage and also come to a verdict. So Gukesh, as Jan's saying, is claiming that Kramnik has made 2 infringements.
Yeah, we've seen it, but I'm not sure what's happening. Looks like the arbiter said, okay, continue, leave me alone. And Gukesh still with a big advantage here, because he does have more time, and now he also has the extra bishop.
Yes, but take a look.
He has to be careful
win.
to keep his pawn, and Kramnik keeps not exactly hitting the squares.
Oh, bishop takes
there.
bishop. Okay, now the job is easy for
Gukesh does it. What a
Ooh.
comeback after being 2 pawns down. But you could see it a little in the making. Kramnik kept spending time, and Gukesh kept making good practical decisions. It was really a clash of styles. Kramnik, with all his knowledge, all his understanding, putting pressure on Gukesh in the opening. But Gukesh coming back, winning this match, and the last man undefeated in the Armageddon Asia Oceania. What an achievement for the 16-year-old.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a bit scrappy, I have
That's
to say.
what we want to see.
But it is what we want to see, as Jan says. And just look at the way Gukesh shows us how to maintain the tension in Armageddon. You know, doesn't make any trades whatsoever, just keeps shuffling the pieces and keeps asking the opponent some questions. And here, well,
Yeah, here we missed the
Kramnik.
key moment where Kramnik hung the knight on the edge of the board. He didn't hang it, it got trapped. This position is winning now. You can see Kramnik not moving the piece very cleanly there. Gukesh the first time says, please, where is your piece? And what happens? The second time, Gukesh said, okay, I'll call the arbiter. There, he does it. Arbiter said, continue the game. Poor Gukesh, he lost some time there on these operations, but he still had enough to wrap it up. And I like it that he's standing up for himself there.
Yeah.
16-year-old playing against such a legend, saying, no, the rules are the rules.
Yeah, the rules are the rules.
And you know what's the most pleasant job in chess business now? To interview Kramnik after this Armageddon.
And there we see the closing moments of the game.
It's not going to happen.
And there you go. Kramnik extends his hands, and 16-year-old Gukesh defeats Kramnik in the Armageddon.
Oof.
And
that's exactly what we want to see. Turnarounds, pieces flying around, and we are now being joined by Gukesh in the studio.
And okay, and Gukesh, woo! What was going through your mind in that match?
Yeah, I mean, first game was a normal blitz game. It was there were some mistakes, and I think it was a fair game. And second game, yeah, I just completely blundered bishop b5. And after that, I'm just losing an exchange. I tried to plan it, but of course, I had no chance. And Armageddon, yeah, I was surprised with d4 e6, so I thought I'll maybe play French, where he's not very experienced.
But he knows everything. You can't take him out of book anywhere.
And then he played this sideline, which I was just not... I could not remember in
After
time.
queen b6, you're supposed to go knight a4, no? Or is that...
I think so.
CD knight d4, queen b6, you play queen e2, no? I'm also not an expert.
Okay, so that's
I thought
what
you mixed it up.
Yeah, I thought like CD knight d queen b6 line, and I played queen d2, but yeah, of course I just completely mixed it up.
But then you were 2 pawns down, but you managed to keep the game somehow going, and clock kept ticking. Do you feel you still had a chance there, or?
I mean, there's always a chance in Armageddon, but okay, I mean, honestly, I had no business winning that game, but okay, what could I do? Yeah, like, I've tried to play on or resign, so yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for him that he was about to flag and he made some blunders, but okay, yeah, that's what Armageddon is.
He kept dropping some pieces there near the end when he had no time, and at some point you stopped the clock. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, he played bishop g4, and the piece fell off, and he pressed the clock. So, I mean, I tried to claim...
Here we have it.
Yeah, so I tried to claim a penalty, but...
There's the first one there.
Yeah, first g6 was already a slip. But, yeah. Bishop f3.
Yeah, you have to adjust before pressing the clock, of course.
And I tried to claim a penalty, but the arbiter said that because it's the first time, it's just a warning. And also, I had 40 seconds. So
you were comfortable enough there anyway, so...
Yeah. And tomorrow, you'll be playing in the final against either Kramnik or Abdusattorov. What are your thoughts on that?
I honestly thought it was day after tomorrow, but okay.
Tomorrow.
No rest.
Tomorrow. No rest.
Okay.
Armageddon.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting match, of course. I mean, both are great players. And did I qualify for the final in September?
I think you're safe.
Yeah, you're safe for the final.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. And tomorrow I'll... yeah, that's also a very interesting match, and I'll try to give my best.
Best of luck for tomorrow, and thanks for the drama.
Thank you.
As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. It's the perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology. And, ooh, boy,
that
what
brings
a
us to
day.
the end of today's show. What a spectacle that Gukesh and Kramnik gave us there. It was very exciting and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow is the big final. We'll find out who wins the Asia and Oceania series and who will be in second place and who gets eliminated. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.